Can you practice spirituality if you're a meat eater?
We're trying to develop compassion for all living beings and entities, including animals. And we're hypocritical if we're trying to do that and at the same time we are killing animals for the sake of the mass gratification of everyone's tongue.
When I used to eat meat, I used to be very anxious, I used to be very angry, all of these things. And I heard that if you're eating an animal that's been slaughtered in a state of fear, then you're eating that consciousness.
If we have faith that this food has touched the lips of God, the longevity of life is nuanced with what the quality of your life is.
Spiritualists who understand this whole karma-free food thing, they're like, I see a loophole here, because the principle is that it's sanctified.
Yeah.
Right? So that means, well, I can just keep eating loads of chocolate bars and call them all sanctified. Yeah. But that's still not supporting your spiritual life.
Before we jump into this episode, I'd love to invite you to join this candid spiritual community to hear more conversations that will help you become happier, healthier, and more healed. All I want you to do is click on that subscribe button because I love your support. I love seeing all the comments pouring through, all the love pouring through, and we're just getting started. I can't wait to go on this journey with you, whether you're a spiritual seeker or you're just curious about the topic. And we really hope that our conversations will provide you food for thought and inspiration for your own spiritual journey. So join us for honest, candid discussions about spirituality for soul's sake.
For soul's sake, for soul's sake.
Hello and welcome to another episode of For Soul's Sake. I'm here again with Keli.
Hi.
With Nāma.
Hello.
Today we're doing a special episode on food, and it's because Nāma's recently been to Malaysia and he's brought back all these varieties of like
goodies
and sweeties, and so we thought we'd do a little ASMR. I don't know if you're interested in any of that, but Keli tells me it's quite on the rise at the moment, so
I have been telling him that.
Would you be interested in what is this?
No, it's not that one.
Oh, what is it?
No, we want to do the stinky fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, go on then. Tell us about your stinky fruit.
So basically, right, in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, there's this fruit, and it's known as the king of fruits.
The king of fruits.
King of fruits.
Mm-hmm.
Fruit Maharaj.
Fruit Maharaja. Maharaja Mac Daddy of fruits, yeah. It's called the durian. It's called the durian.
Durian, okay,
Yeah.
go on. Give it a shout out. We're not sponsored, so.
Yeah, it's called durian fruit. These are durian covered chocolate, so it's not exactly the fruit.
Is durian the fruit, by the way?
Yeah, durian's a fruit. It looks a bit like that. It's big, green, and spiky. And you open it up.
It's like a lychee, no?
No, it's huge. It's like this big.
Oh.
It's like
a
big.
jackfruit.
Yeah, but you open it up and it's all fleshy. But it's apparently the stinkiest fruit in the world. Uh-huh. So if you watch videos of people smelling it, they're just like, not going there. But if you get over that and you taste it, it's like its defense mechanism. But then when you taste it, apparently
why would it need a defense mechanism?
From pests.
I
don't know, but it's really interesting. But it's a delicacy basically, and everyone's eating it. But
whenever I hear that word delicacy, I'm always like, this is going to be rough.
There's going to be like grasshopper stuff in it.
Yeah.
I couldn't bring back a durian because I'd get stopped at customs and it wouldn't be a great thing. But I bought the next best thing, freeze-dried durian dark chocolate.
Okay.
So I think we should try it.
Let's have a bit then.
I tried one the other day and...
There's reason to the madness. Today we're talking about food and vegetarian diets, and it should be a good episode. Just stay with us.
Did you manage to open it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well
done.
I opened it.
Off camera, this guy was like huffing and puffing about trying to open this thing. I was like, that's going to be hilarious for people to watch.
The reason why they closed it so much is because it stinks so bad.
Even now?
No, because it's covered in chocolate, but the
Can I give it a
instructions
whiff?
I'm going to give you... It doesn't smell of anything. Just the chocolate's there.
So it smells like chocolate.
Okay.
Go on,
but take one, but don't eat it.
Okay.
Take one. I'll tell you how to eat this one if you want the proper stench.
All
yeah,
right.
give me the
If you want to get the proper pongs.
I want the pongs.
It's all vegetarian in that, right?
Fully vegetarian, yeah.
It's all like offered to Krishna in that, right?
It is.
This is what we got.
All right,
It's dark chocolate, but don't eat it all in once.
Okay.
Because apparently that's just too easy.
Little Malteser looking thing.
Bite it in half, then you'll see the durian in the middle, and smell the durian.
Why am I doing this?
Is that the durian?
Yeah, smell it.
Okay. Oh. Smells a bit like a gone off mango.
There's a bit of a
Can you
weird
feel
aftertaste, isn't it?
All of our breath is going to smell after this.
Oh, that's proper armpits, bro.
It's a ponga. My uncle had it the other day, then he just said, "Oh, this is nice," and I could just feel the stench.
I feel like my nose is blocked or something.
But this is a mild version because it's freeze dried and it's tiny.
I can definitely imagine
can you get
what
the whiff
it's like. Yeah.
Gone off mango, no?
It's a bit, yeah, like fermented. You're right.
He bought it. He doesn't like it, but he wants us to taste it.
It's offering
Do you
all my
like
love
it?
to you.
Oh, I feel it. I mean, if I was dying on an island
I might have another one actually.
with nothing but my wits about me and a packet of these, I think I'd survive fine.
There's
Taste-
there's no sustenance at all.
Oh, there's no nutritional
Nah.
value.
No, it's fruit.
So it's
Nah.
the first time you can say chocolate's fruit.
Well, it's a fruit covered chocolate. The psychoactive properties to this as well.
I feel like this episode's scrapped. Should we continue? Let's continue. Let's see where this goes. All right, today's verse, we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 26. Krishna speaking. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So, from this, Krishna Bhaktas, or Bhakti yogis that have faith in Bhagavad Gita, elude that we should have a vegetarian diet, that we should live and sustain ourselves on grains and pulses and vegetation, but abstain from a meat diet. First and foremost, can you practice spirituality if you're a meat eater?
That's a big question.
Here we go. Get ready for some comments.
I think we have to define what meat eating even is, first of all.
Okay.
I think,
What's the line? Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like... Where the Bhakti Yoga path kind of disagrees with meat eating is that we're trying to develop compassion for all living beings and entities, including animals. And we're hypocritical if we're trying to do that and at the same time we are funding the industry of just killing animals for the sake of the mass gratification of everyone's tongue. You're essentially paying for animals to be reproduced in order to kill them. Like, I always found that cycle, it's not a natural cycle of meat eating. Because it's like, if you look at the history of like, you know, the Vedic sort of spiritual paths, meat eating does exist. It exists in every spiritual path.
Even in
every
the Vedic
religion.
culture.
Yeah, even in the Vedic culture. But it's done with certain restrictions and guidance, right? The fact that there's restrictions and guidance shows that that's not something that's a free-for-all practice that you can do. We live in a world which maintains slaughterhouses where, you know, we artificially inseminate cows to produce milk, to produce offspring, purely to kill them.
Yeah.
It's a life force. And with the Bhakti perspective, you can't reach the heights of experience of divine love and eat meat at the same time.
We just touched on it. Now we're going a level deeper when you spoke about inseminating cows so that we can receive milk from them. Where do we sit about veganism? And this guy's like fully in research mode now. He's looking up something. It's going to be a quote or a story that's like...
It's going to be some facts.
It's going to be some facts and figures, isn't it? Anyway, while he does that, milk. Is it moral? Is it something that a spiritualist should engage with cheese and paneer and chocolate? We just had some just now.
Yeah.
Where do we sit on that?
I think we live in a complex world. So I think the cleanest way to be, just because we don't know where our dairy is coming from most of the time, it's often coming from, you know, very ill-treated cows and cattle. So the easiest way is to live a vegan life, right? In today's modern society.
It's possible to.
Yeah. But traditionally how it was done, and when you go to what is known as a goshala, a shelter for cows, the cows are producing milk even after their cattle has grown up. And if the milk isn't taken out, then it causes problems for the cow.
Mm-hmm.
And a happy cow continues to provide milk even after the cattle have grown up.
It's a symptom of love, right?
Yes.
It's understood in the Vedic understanding.
that the giving of milk is a very like maternal feeling. And it's said in the Vedic literature, and it's not prohibited to take milk because of the beneficial nature of good quality organic milk.
Yeah, I've read in the
You know.
Bhagavatam that it gives fine brain tissue,
Yeah,
and that it does give us a lot of nutrition.
yeah.
But then that could be, let's flip it. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
That could be the same for meat eating and protein. You know, everyone, that's the number one thing we hear about.
Yeah.
Where's your protein coming from if you're not eating flesh and meat?
Yeah. I think, to be honest, like I grew up a meat eater as a kid,
Me too.
like all the time. Me and you hitting up KFC, and
Chicken nuggets.
Nando's, you know. But I
Who are the
also
Nuggets
had a
boys?
very chicken nuggets.
Nuggets, boy.
We were just talking earlier about mine and Radhika's, what was it, preference in food, right?
Yeah.
And Radhika's a down and out. I know what I like, and that's it. That's
Yeah.
the benchmark.
I mean, the story goes, we went for pink chai at one of these new, like, there's this whole thing being set up all across
Sounds
London.
proper hipster, that.
It
doesn't
is just like all these chai shops
can I
being
say?
hit up all across, and it's owned by Asian business owners, so
Mm.
it's like, you know, trying to be authentic with chai and whatnot. So we go there, and I generally know what I like, and I won't eat or drink anything that I know I won't like. I'm very, you know, kind of black and white about my foods, and I just thought, you know what, I've known Nāma for the longest period of time. He's been one of my friends since God knows how many lifetimes before as well. But he convinced me to have a pink chai. Now, it wasn't very good. Is the basis of it.
It was
And so
amazing, man.
It wasn't very good, but he thinks it was amazing. So that was just the context of the whole chai story. But back to milk and meat eating and whatnot.
Yeah, so I think it's, this whole argument, right? Oh, I've not enough protein in vegetables. In an Indian household, I've grown up eating majority vegetarian food, right? And there's ample amount of protein if you just know the right dals, the lentils, the vegetables, the pulses, the beans that you have access to.
Yep.
Because in the Western idea, it's meat and two veg, right? Meat and two veg is your staple dinner. So for an individual with that particular dietary requirement or dietary expectation, vegetarian means two veg but no meat or extra veg. But there's so much more in
There's
the
so much
culinary
variety.
scene, especially in Ayurveda and Eastern traditions. It's very easy to have a balanced diet.
Oh yeah.
You know, I've been exposed to that. Like, I've not felt like any worse off in my health as a result of becoming vegetarian, and I try to opt for vegan food as much as I can. Like, I think there's a difference between like when you have someone who eats meat and they try to use the argument about veganism versus like them trying to defend them eating meat and not. They're two very different things, right?
You
They're
know,
two very,
I heard this thing
He's
about
back.
like dal though,
yeah, go on.
because there's a certain dal. Because you were saying like dal and beans and different things. There's a dal. Is it like urd dal or something?
Yeah. Dal
that-
makhni.
That has enough protein for it to be technically considered like meat, and that we shouldn't
It's
have
like,
it.
yeah, it gives off
Oh.
consciousness. That's like lusty consciousness,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's a lot of protein in that.
Right.
Protein packed.
There's also like tofu.
Tofu's
Tofu's
got a lot of
magic.
protein, yeah.
So the same. I went to a restaurant and it said it had on the wall, and it said the same amount of tofu and beef, like in terms of weight. The tofu actually had more protein than the steak
Mm.
Far
of
out.
the same quantity, like that same quantity. Amazing.
I want to know what it was researching, like, you know.
I was trying to find like quotes from the Bible about like vegetarianism.
You're
Because
getting into the Christian vibes, aren't you?
well, it's just cool
It is
because
cool.
it just shows that like it's not just the Hindu thing, you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I couldn't find it, but I was remembering hearing about there's this part of the Bible called Deuteronomy, and there's this famous part that says God says to the human beings, "You have governance over all living beings."
Mhm.
But when you look at the etymology of that word, I can't remember what it was in the Greek, but it got changed. Like, we think governance means we
Lord it over.
lord it over, right?
Right.
But the actual word originally translated as protection,
Mhm.
not governance. And anyway, there are definitely a few quotes from the Bible that talk about vegetarianism, but I was just thinking about how stark the contrast is in my own life when I turned vegetarian. And the Bible talks a lot about how actually when you read original literal translations from the Aramaic or from the Hebrew about how food affects your consciousness and what you eat affects your consciousness.
Yeah.
And that was something I personally discovered. And even now I see, who's that guy, Gordon Ramsay?
Yeah.
He's like, I heard him talking about how he went to Sadhguru's Isha Foundation place. And
really?
He went and tried the
Become
veggie
a
food
disciple
there.
now.
He tried it for like 2-3 days.
Far out.
And he was like, it was too peaceful for me. It was so peaceful. And I was just eating vegetables all the time. It was actually like stressful.
You've missed out like a bunch of F-bombs in that quote.
Yeah. There's a lot of F-bombs. But you look at someone like that, red in the face, blood red in the face. Every other word is a swear word. So much intensity and anger. And that's, you know, when I used to eat meat like yourself, I used to be very anxious. I used to be very angry, all of these things. And I heard that you are what you eat goes much further than just what size your waist is. It's actually your consciousness.
Yeah.
So if you're eating an animal that's been slaughtered in a state of fear, then you're eating that consciousness.
Totally.
On the flip side, Krishna's saying here that if you offer to me these very simple foods with a loving intention, and then you take what we call the prasadam, or the remnants of that offering, then you're eating food that is imbued with loving consciousness.
Yeah.
Touch the lips of God.
Right. I remember the first time I had prasadam, like spiritualized, sanctified food, I had the biggest laughing fit I've ever had. I nearly wet myself. I was laughing
Too
for
much
like
detail?
half an hour. Probably did a bit as well. I was laughing for like half an hour, and I was like, what is going on? Like, it's nice food. It's not like exceptional, but what's going on? I was asking the people working there, and they said this is sanctified food. They said actually this is karma-free food. And I was like, what?
That's a really good way of putting it.
Karma-free food. And they said, yeah, when you eat this sanctified food, you can feel the karma, like your heavy karma, like falling off of you. And so you start to feel lighter, literally lighter in your consciousness. And yeah, I had many giggle fits in that, like that time of transitioning, not just from eating meat to eating vegetarian food, but to eating spiritualized karma-free food. It like completely opened my mind. It like really unlocked a lot of things.
We're getting to the core point of consuming particular foods is consciousness development. And spirituality at its core is about transforming consciousness away from material consciousness, which is to revolve around titles and job responsibilities and material relationships, to try and transcend into a higher state of consciousness, to get to a point of spiritual awareness. And it's aided by so many things: the way you sleep, the way you talk, even the way you reproduce. You know, all of these things affect consciousness.
Yeah, there's I was at an event last night, and there was a great saintly person there speaking, and he lived in India as a monk for many years, and he was telling us this story of a fellow monk who he was like best friends with. And one day this person, he's called Raj Bihari, he thought, I really want to please my friend, and I'm in charge of cooking the dessert for the feast today for 100, 200 people. But specifically, I really want to make something nice for my friend, and I know what he loves. He loves sweet rice, right? It's very...
Love me some sweet rice. Do you love some sweet rice?
It's really good. He's like... So he's, you know, my friend, he's a very staunch monk, and he lives a very austere life, but every so often, you know, his version of sense gratification is sweet rice. That's what he loves. And so it came to... you know, the feast time, and this devotee Raj Bihari personally wanted to serve his friend this sweet rice that he'd been making for him all day. And you know, so the line goes on, and his friend comes up, and he's really excited to serve him, and his friend says, no Prabhu, I will not take, I'm okay.
Whoa.
And he's like, what? I literally like made this for you pretty much. I know I'm serving other people, but this is for you. And he said, no. And he was so confused. And that evening he was thinking, like, why did he refuse it? Like, was he trying to show off to the other guys or impress some girls or something, you know, like, who knows what's going on? And that evening, he woke up for a bathroom break at like 2 a.m.
As they call it nowadays, bio break.
A bio break at 2 a.m. and walks past the kitchen and hears... Yeah, can you make some kitchen noises with the spoon or something? That was exactly what he heard in the kitchen. And who's in the kitchen? It's this devotee.
Chowing
with the fridge open, tucking into the sweet rice. And he's like lost his mind. He's like, Prabhu, what are you doing? It's 2 a.m. and you're eating sweet rice. You're meant to be a monk, you know?
Yeah.
And so he said this thing that blew my mind. He said, if your external world and your internal world don't meet up, if they're not the same, at some point your internal world will betray you.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Yep.
And so food is not just it's not just a matter of like enjoying ourselves. It's a whole psychology, because it's the most gross sense of what we consume. And we don't just consume through our mouth, we consume through our eyes and our ears and our nose and all of our senses. So that was the point he was making.
Say the quote one more time.
If your external world and your internal world aren't the same, at some point your internal will betray you. You'll show your true colours when you're pushed, when you're pressed, or when you think that no one's watching, right? And so food is one of the many things that is a vice, effectively. So I just thought that was very insightful.
Yeah, that is. When we talk about like consciousness and food and the other side is that let's be grateful, or he's fortunate he's tucking into some sweet rice made with love.
Yeah, if you're gonna go for it,
because
sweet rice made with love is the way to do it.
Totally, because you got to think about like someone who works at McDonald's on a crappy salary, not making much money, struggles to pay the bills, rolls into work super early, is in a really bad attitude, slapping together your Big Mac.
Even if it's a veggie Mac.
Anything, right? Your chips, your fish fillet, your McFlurry, your can of Coke, and boom. All of that consciousness, all of that negative energy, all of that I don't want to be here slapping burgers together. Here you go, mate. Enjoy.
Yeah.
You eat all of that.
Even at Michelin star restaurants, you know what really kind of irks me? When you eat at a restaurant and then you walk past the alleyway behind the restaurant, maybe you park your car there, and you see the chef having a fag and watching...
Scratching his bum.
Yeah. Oh, I've not seen that. But you know, just the scene just puts you off. Like, I ate from this person's hand.
Yeah.
And like, unfortunately, and I say it 3 times, unfortunately, I still have a taste for eating out. I still can't get over eating at home, even if I know it's good for me. I have to be honest. I'm being candid.
I'll tell you a flip side story as well. So when we were in the ashram as monks, we were traveling a bit. We went to Chester, up north.
Nice place.
Good old Chester.
Really,
they have that
place.
Old clock tower in Chester.
Yeah, it's the staple.
Don't all like towns of clock towers?
This is an old one, though.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
An old one.
Yeah, it's very Tudoresque, the whole city. So we were staying there, and we were staying at this family's house. This husband and wife, and they had a kid. And the wife was exceptionally a really good cook, and she was very motherly. So she was very motherly to all of us. She took care of us. She used to make us breakfast and dinner, and then during the day we would be out teaching or whatever. The breakfast she used to make, the initial sight of it it looked very heavy. Like it was very traditional Indian parathas.
Right.
You know, you got your potato curries, you've got a bit of dal, you've got some sort of creamy vegetables.
Breakfast,
whatever for breakfast.
Bro, this is like heaven.
Lapping it up.
That's next
so I was
level.
like, whoa, this is a lot. Every breakfast I had there and dinner was just so good. Not just to taste, but my mind felt so happy. I just felt like so energized in a way that food in the traditional sense doesn't provide you with. But I used to see her and her her husband and her kid, they had a very strict spiritual discipline at home. They would be up extremely early. They would be meditating, chanting mantras very early every single morning without fail. So the whole household was just charged with this consciousness. That was all whacked into the food. And so when anyone who ate it just felt so uplifted. Like you were saying, right? The karma is just flowing off you. You just felt like that. Externally, it's not the healthiest dish, right? In the traditional, in the modern sense.
It's not very Ayurvedic of you, is it?
Yeah. But it was healthy for my soul, super healthy for my soul.
But that's also another question is, I think spiritualists who understand this whole karma-free food thing are like, they're like, I see a loophole here, because the principle is that it's sanctified.
Yeah.
Right? So that means, well, I can just keep eating loads of chocolate bars and call them all sanctified. Yeah. But that's still not supporting your spiritual life, right?
I mean, it's horses for courses. Like Jay Pataka Swami, he was considering how to improve his spiritual life. And so he went up to his guru, Srila Prabhupada, and asked him, how can I level up, essentially? And Prabhupada said, receive and honor lots of prasad. And so that's what he did. And, okay, his health is suffering now. I don't know whether it's a direct correlation of the two. But I think faith is a massive thing. Like, if we have faith that this food has touched the lips of God, ultimately, the longevity of life is nuanced with what the quality of your life is. What's the point in living forever if we have nothing to live for? I know that argument can be flipped and say, well, if you're a spiritualist, then you should try to live forever to serve others. But in the ultimate sense, as Mother Teresa says, it was always between you and God anyway. And so if God wants me to, what's that? Mare Krishna, Rake Ke, Krishna, Mare Ke. So if Krishna wants me to be killed, no one can save me. And if Krishna wants me to live,
no one can kill me.
No one can kill me. And it's a level of faith, I guess, that, look, if we're shallow about our faith, then yes, I understand the points that we're all making, but maybe rather than trying to be really detailed, because it's definitely true that you could live a textbook healthy lifestyle and still die at 50.
Yeah.
And you can live a smoking, drinking, caffeinated, meat-eating lifestyle and live to 80. There's cases for both. So yes, I know the correlation is weighted on one and the other, and I know that it's rich coming from me, that I'm not like the epitome of health. But at the same time, I think there has to be an element, little smidgen of faith in there. That Krishna's going to look after me if I smash those Kit Kats I've been offered to him.
The durian chocolates.
Something that really tested my faith when I first got into spiritual life. This man came to visit us in Wales, and he'd just been to Vrindavan, very holy place in India, and he had a big plastic bottle of water with him.
I know what he's going to say. And
he said, so this water is going to change your life, because this water contains remnants of water which bathed 1,000 Vaishnavas' feet in Vrindavan. So this saint in Vrindavan was sent his disciples to wash the feet of 1,000 saints, right? So they did it, they brought the water back to him. And at one point, the guru who sent his disciples to wash everyone's feet, he was like, you've missed someone. You've missed one person. And they were like, no, I think we've got everyone. And he said, no, you've missed someone. There's this devotee. And the disciple said, oh yeah, we didn't bathe his feet because he has some disease on his feet, so we didn't want to bathe it, but to maybe contaminate the water. And he said, no, he's one of the most saintly devotees in Vrindavan, so you have to go and wash his feet. Anyway, so he was telling us this story, and he was like, so this is the water that's bathed 1,000 saints' feet, right? And so everyone's like, great, what are you going to do with that? And he's like, well, we're going to pass it round.
Did you have to ask the question?
You can all have a bit. And so we did. I mean, it didn't taste weird or anything. I think this had been done maybe like 50 years ago, and they kept saving a little bit and diluting it and diluting it and diluting it. Anyway, but they were like, this is the water that's going to change your life kind of thing. It tasted just like water, but in my mind, I'm thinking like of this story and how I'm drinking this like foot juice. And I'm like, what is this doing for me right now? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then you read other stories of devotees who, this personality, Narada Muni, he literally became a saint by eating the remnants of food from other saintly people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you hear these stories, and it takes quite a level of faith to see past the external, right? To see past the does it look good, does it taste good?
Yeah.
And to see with spiritual vision, what is this doing for my
That's the
my
disease
soul?
of the modern age. We've learned how to package ignorance beautifully.
We've learned how to package ignorance beautifully.
We've learned how to package, let's call it, lower tendency of consciousness in beautiful wrapping such that you never question what's behind the wrapper.
Wow.
You never think what's behind it.
Yeah.
And because of that, whenever you go to places like Vrindavan, you kind of got to, like, how we have in the UK culture, beer goggles.
Yeah.
You got to put in actually these lenses, these rose-tinted lenses of seeing things with spiritual value.
Yeah.
And then everything transforms. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a past life thing. But when I went to Vrindavan for the first time in my life, I didn't hear the honking and I didn't see like the monkeys. Only when people said, "Oh, do you see that monkey having sex with another monkey?" I was like, "Oh yeah." But I was like completely in a dream state.
Yeah.
And a part of that has faded away as years have gone by because I've started to notice the things.
Yeah.
But a lot of people come to Vrindavan and they notice all the things first, and then they slowly start being able
Sure.
to shut it all out. And I've kind of gone through the other way, which I started on like a really high, and then I've slowly started to slip. And then I'm trying to like always get back to that ideal of what it was when I first went. And I think there's a real value in becoming Shastra Chakshus, which is seeing with a vision of Shastra, seeing with a vision of authorized scriptural testimony.
It's also like, so I'm just going to flip it back a little bit.
Go for it.
This whole idea behind health and spirituality, like we often say, I get a lot of health professionals coming in the Bhakti circle and saying, you guys are like super unhealthy, you basically don't exercise. I mean, I try to, right? There's a term in Sanskrit known as atyahara, or atyahara, two different ends. And it's following the rules and regulations purely for the sake of following the rules and regulations, right? In the Bhakti circle, our whole life is trying to be centered around our advancement. An element of that is our health. So the ideal is to take care of your health to the extent which it helps support your spiritual progress, activities, duties, etc. It is not to become a super health freak, because then that's an over-endeavor in an activity which is, you're overindulging.
Temporary.
It's not necessary, right? You're doing too much. You don't need to do that much.
One may argue.
Right? One may argue. So I'm always balancing, like, how healthy do I want to be? I don't particularly enjoy exercise. I don't really like going to the gym. It's a bunch of dudes and girls like
We've just
flexing.
lost 50% of our audience.
Yeah, I know.
All the
No, but-
Pilates people
No,
are
but
like cut out.
If you are out there and you do love going to the gym, I would love for you to help me just build that enthusiasm, right? That was last year. That was my goal, to become like a gym rat. I just
Gym rat.
I just
Is that a
couldn't-
thing?
yeah, like you're a gym,
Gym
rat.
rat.
But it's all about managing our health to the extent it supports our spiritual activities. What did you say?
It's just the way he was looking at me.
Gym rat.
Gym mouse. But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Like, it's health for health's sake is not sake enough.
Yeah.
It's not for soul's sake.
Not for soul's sake. But I guess this is where the bottom line for me anyway stands with food is, what's your goal? Like, if your goal isn't to become a spiritually perfect person, eat what you want. Do it according to what your goal is. And if your goal is to become, I don't know, the winner of Mr. Muscle contest, what's it called? Is that what it's called?
Strongest man.
Strongest man, whatever it is, then eat the diet that you need to eat because, okay, fine, maybe you want to be a prodigy and show that you can do it on a vegan diet. Great, fantastic. But follow the tried and tested method. And if there's enough saints on the path that have tried and tested the method of a Krishnatarian diet or a sanctified diet or whatever you want to call it, a spiritualized diet, and that consists of vegetarian diet, then why try to make up, in my opinion, yes, you can have a variety of ways in which you can modify and apply the details in a multivarious way, but a principle should remain. And if there's enough evidence to show that a ahimsa diet, cruelty-free diet, or even let's go a step higher, it's a Krishna diet, Krishnatarian, where you offer it to, even if it's not Krishna, but to a sacred altar, and then you take the remnants of that, and you're conscious about it, and you offer some prayers, and you even are grateful for the food before you chow it down. Why? What's the need for
But there's also then
mixing it up?
Why not have a healthy, sanctified diet?
Yeah. Basically, do what you want. Just decide what your goal in life is, and find a lifestyle in such a way that you never stray off that goal.
Yeah.
Okay? Send us your comments. Let me know your thoughts. If you feel like you agree with us on this, then give us a big hurrah. If you don't, then button bash on your phone and send us some comments that make us want to get back to you as soon as possible. We love you all. Thank you so much for joining us on these episodes of For Soul's Sake. I hope they're useful. I hope they're actually giving you some spiritual value, and we can't wait to see you all on the next one. Thank you so much. Namaste.
If you love this episode, you'll love my interview with Mimi Icon on mindfulness to manifestation. Check it out.
So I had this panic attack and I thought I was dying. So I go to my teacher and I'm like, I think I'm having a heart attack. Like, I'm so scared. And he's like, well, if you do, we'll call 911. This is back in Toronto. I was living in Toronto at the time. He's like, Mimi, you cannot run away from yourself. It's a panic attack, most likely. Like, now go back into meditation and sit through it and watch it. Any emotional reaction is like a storm. Like, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end.